there! Welcome to this X8R video demonstrating the installation of our 1.7 CDTi injector seal repair kit, suitable for all vehicles equipped with 1.7 litre CDTi EcoFlex engine, found in Opel Vauxhall cars from 2007 to 2014. This kit contains one valve cover gasket set, which includes one rocker cover gasket, 10 bolt seals, 4 high-pressure fuel pipe seals, and 4 injector seals. This kit also contains 4 metal injector seals, an injector alignment tool, an injector pocket cleaning tool, cleaning pads, and a bag of various blanks and plugs. We used a 2011 Zafira for this video. The process may vary slightly for other vehicles, but the key parts will remain the same. The first part of the installation will be to disconnect the battery. Remove the negative terminal first, then the positive. The vehicle is now safe to work on. Start by removing the engine cover. Now remove the induction pipes. Begin by disconnecting the rubber vacuum hose and removing the securing bolt. Now loosen the Jubilee clamps at either end using a 7mm socket and remove the upper section of the pipe. The EGR vacuum pipe can now be removed. Use the plugs and bungs to cover the holes. To remove the second half of the intake pipe, there is a Jubilee clamp securing the second section of the induction pipe to the turbo. Loosen this using an extension and a 7mm socket and remove the pipe. You can now remove the 3 bolts that secure the wiring harness to the valve cover. There are multiple electrical connections that will need to be disconnected, including the glow plugs and injectors. Some of the other connections may vary depending on the vehicle, but try to remove as many as you can conveniently reach. You can now remove the injector leak-off hoses. Remove the metal clips. These are very fiddly, so be careful not to let them ping off and get lost when pulling out the connections. Be careful not to damage these, as they can become brittle over time. Once the hoses are removed, use the bungs in the kit to cover the holes. Remove the vacuum connection on the right-hand side and again cover the hole. Using a 17mm spanner, remove the high-pressure fuel pipes at the rear of the engine. Use the blanks to cover the open ports on the manifold. Now remove the injector seals on the rear of the valve cover using a flathead screwdriver. Remove the 10 bolts on top of the valve cover and the 2 on the side. Remove the valve cover. This may be slightly stiff. Once removed, cover the injector ports. Now you can prepare the valve cover for reinstallation. Remove the valve cover gasket. To remove the injector seals, you will need to cut away a section of rubber to expose the metal ring and cut away the inside of the seal to expose the gap between the plastic valve cover and the rubber seal. Now, using a pry tool, gently try to lift the rubber seal out. Do this at the position shown where the plastic forms a right angle at the outside of the seal. This is the strongest point. Use a pick tool to fit in the gap created and gently work out the seal. This process is quite fiddly. Take your time and be careful not to damage the valve cover. Remove all the bolts and pry away the seal. Squeeze a new one on. Make sure they go on in the same orientation as they came off. Now you can refit the valve cover gasket. Press this around the groove. The bolts will pop in to hold this in place. Make sure that it is fully sealed all the way around. To install the injector seals, simply clean out the slot and press the seals in. It should be obvious which way these go in. This is a good point to clean up the cylinder head before moving on. Any debris left inside the engine will cause damage when the engine is started. Remove all 4 of the injector clamp bolts and remove the clamps. Give the bolts and clamps a clean up after you have removed them. Very gently remove each injector, being careful not to damage the tip. Make sure that the metal seal comes out with each injector. If it doesn't, you will have to pry this out using a long pokey tool. Using our injector pocket cleaning tool, remove as much oil and debris as possible from the injector pocket. This will help it seal against the bottom of the pocket. Give the camshaft lobes a quick clean to remove any debris that may have fallen on them during the cleaning procedure. Now you can place a metallic injector seal into each pocket and replace the injector. Make sure the seal sits flat at the bottom. Once you have all 4 injectors in, you can now use the alignment tool. Place this over each of the injector elbows so that it firmly holds each injector in place. Replace the injector clamps and bolts. You can now tighten them. The torque procedure for these is as follows. Tighten them up to 40 Newton meters. Now slightly slacken them off. Then retighten them up to 32 Newton meters. You can now replace the valve cover. Use some RTV at the 4 harsh angles around the sealing face of the rocker cover gasket. Remember to remove the injector caps before you replace the valve cover. Replace the valve cover. This can be quite tricky. Make sure that it is sitting flush all the way around and loosely nip up all of the bolts. There is a specific order that you need to tighten these bolts. You need to start from the centre and spread out evenly. The torque is 10 Newton meters. Once the valve cover is torqued down, you can replace the fuel pipe seals. Gently tap these all the way in, being extra careful not to crack the plastic valve cover. Now you can reinstall all the engine ancillaries. Start with the intake pipe. Then the wiring harness can be reattached. Now reconnect the injector plugs and all of the other electrical connections that you removed earlier, including the glow plugs. Make sure that these connections are fully seated. Replace the vacuum pipe and the EGR pipe. Be sure not to leave any connections unplugged, as this will cause problems later on. Now you can reinstall the injector leak-off hoses along with their metal clips. You can now reinstall the high-pressure fuel pipes. These will need to be clean when they go back in to ensure a good seal. Now you will need to torque these connections to 25 Newton meters. In order to achieve a true torque using a crow's foot socket, you will need to have the adapter coming away from the handle of the torque wrench at 90 degrees. Any other angle will result in a different amount of torque being applied from the setting on the wrench. This is very fiddly, so take your time with this and be sure not to damage anything when tightening. If you are confident with installing this type of union connection, you might not need to use a torque wrench, but it is always advised. That is the engine rebuilt. You can now reconnect the battery. Attach the positive terminal, then the negative. You can now begin the fuel pipe priming and bleeding sequence. Start the ignition for approximately 15 seconds, then switch off again. Repeat this 3 times. This is priming the low-pressure fuel pump. Once you have done that, you can try to start the engine. It will take a while to crank, and it will be a little lumpy at first as the injectors are pushing out all of the air in the system. When it starts, check for leaks, then take for a short drive and check again for leaks. Once you are happy, you can reinstall the engine cover. That completes the install. Thank you for watching this X8R video. This kit is now available to purchase on our website www.x8r0249. If you have any comments or questions, please feel free to contact us using the email or phone number on screen now.